I'm joined here today by a very special guest, Grandmaster Aleksander Goloshchapov. Hello, Alexander. Welcome.
Hello, Shagar. Hello, Shagar.
Alexander, today, we decided to do this interview because you've reached a sort of a milestone where you have helped 10 Indian players to become Grandmasters. Is that true?
Yeah, it has happened finally.
I wanted to interview you at some point before, but I think we were waiting that, 10 players would become GMs.
Yeah, I felt that it would be right, to reach this milestone and to discuss, to have a look back at my long journey. So, like, it has been 17 years already.
Wow.
As a coach, as professional coach, working with Indian talented players.
Amazing. I want to know more about you, but first, let's go through the players in India who have become grandmasters under your training. So, who was the first one?
The first one was an incredibly bright talent, Parimarjan Negi from Delhi. And I would definitely say that Parimarjan Negi was my, lucky ticket to a successful coaching career. And, because of Parimarjan, I think I started having more Indian talented students. So I always felt that it was karmically, determined. So I have some connection with India in my previous lives. That's what I always felt.
But how did Parimarjan reach you? Like, what was the way in which he connected with you?
Yeah, it was an interesting story because I was a professional player. So and it was in 2005 when I met him in one tournament it was in the Netherlands on Hoogeveen tournament, very famous open tournament.
Yeah.
He was a 12-year-old boy with around 2350 rating. And I played so it was also not by chance, but I played a game with him. So
Okay.
and I had an advantage at some point with black. But then he defended really well and he made a draw. So and he impressed me a lot. So and I was communicating with him during the tournament. So just analyzing briefly some games. So I just was really impressed by this young boy. And then around December the same year, one of my friends told me that Parimarjan father is looking for a coach. And then I said, okay, why not to send a message to Parimarjan's father,
So until then you were not training, yes? He was your first student?
Not exactly like this. Actually, I had some coaching experience working with some students, but not of high level.
Okay.
One of my students was a Ukrainian student. He was about already 2400 level. But still, it was not, professional experience. I was mostly like, we had some sessions, but I wasn't in professional career as a player.
Got it.
Also, I worked with some students for my Belgium club for already 4 years, but it was also not very professional experience, I would say.
Right. So when Parimarjan, you connected with him and you began working with him, I guess he was like 12 or 13 years old, maybe around GM strength.
Yeah, he was already international master. And actually, he was already strong, definitely. Yeah.
Right.
So I think okay. Our work was very fruitful, and there was a huge boost. And after, I think, he reached Grandmaster title quite quickly, actually.
Right.
So
And this picture was in India. Did you come to India and train this?
yeah, this picture is made at his home.
Okay.
We had face-to-face sessions at his home.
Right.
So yeah, was the first time I came to India for coaching purpose, 2006. Before that, I visited India twice in 2000 and 2002 as a player. So I played first tournament I played in India. It was actually the first tournament after I became Grandmaster. I played Goodrick Open in Kolkata.
Wow.
So
amazing.
it was amazing tournament with Korchnoi and Akopian and other great players.
That's fantastic. And then after Negi, was it Sethuraman?
Yeah, it was Sethuraman actually because of word of mouth, I guess. So first of all, Sethuraman's father came to know about me because they were friends with Negi's father. And this is how I started working with Sethuraman at 2007.
Wow.
So
and Sethu, of course, we all know what a strong player he is, and he's still going very strong, around 2650, and his highest rating was close to 2690. So he's definitely an amazing player. And then who are the next ones? I have some pictures. I'll show you maybe from this. I think Arjun Kalyan from here.
Yeah, it is actually as I call it is the third generation of my students.
This is third. Okay, so who came in the second then? SL Narayanan?
So the first generation is so we have not finished the first generation yet.
Okay.
So the third student of mine was Vaibhav Suri.
So he's there in this picture here, Sethu and Vaibhav.
So the smallest boy is Vaibhav Suri. So I started working with him November 2008. Yeah, 8. November 2008. When he was a 12-year-old boy.
Right.
And so at that time I worked only with 3 students, because it was mostly about face-to-face work. I was traveling to India all the time. We had individual camps mostly. We had some group coaching as well. So it's like 4. This is a picture from Mumbai camp 2010.
On the left is Shiven Khosla. Yes, he became an IM.
Yeah, Shiven Khosla is my actually third Indian student. I started working with him in 1st January 2008.
Okay.
So, and he's an also talented player. He became international master, and he was Asian champion under 14, and he was world second medalist, silver medalist, world championship under 14 as well. So he was
very talented. And then we go to second generation of your students, or?
Yeah, maybe I can say a few words about this generation, which is I have lots of nice memories about that.
For sure.
So, and definitely Parimarjan is the most brightest, and a really genius, I would say.
What was about him that you thought was very special? Because Parimarjan was, I think, the first sort of this prodigy. Now we have like Gukesh, there is Arjun, Nihal, Prag. But I think the first ever Indian super prodigy was Parimarjan.
Yeah, and I think, very bright and versatile talent, because he was a very good speaker, he was very good writer, and he's interested, went beyond chess a lot. He was, and yes, it was very interesting person, first of all, and so we all know that he reached 26, 70 at some point. Yes. At the age of 18.
Yeah.
And definitely he was by far the most promising Indian player at that time. But suddenly, for a shock of most of Indian public, he shifted to education. Yes. Right? So we know that He graduated Stanford University in United States.
Right.
And yeah, this is quite uncommon case, right, in chess history.
Yeah, I know. I
It would have
mean,
been really, really interesting to see how far he would go
true.
in chess. But okay, it was his choice.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, I can say many more words about Sethuraman, with whom I worked for more years. And I would say we had numerous camps in Chennai. And I was traveling with him to different tournaments as well. So I know him really very well.
Right.
So, and he's also bright talent, no doubts about that. You know, but he was very emotional nature. So I think he has improved a lot since then. But just, one situation that would describe him a lot, in one tournament, he lost 4 games in a row. It was National B, around maybe 2000, I don't know, 9, 10 or something. No, before, I guess, 2008 or 2009. But the most surprising thing that he would never give up, and he would not quit any tournament in his life. And it's a great example, for modern youngsters, and especially for their parents. I have so many examples of modern parents who say, oh, no, let's quit the tournament. It is not going well. But they really make very huge mistake. They do not really understand that chess and any sport is first of all about mental strength. Right. It is about strong mentality and about being a strong character. That's I probably value the most. Right. And definitely Sethuraman is a great example about fighting spirit, about determination, and he improved a lot. And I think emotionally he learned to manage his emotions and to stay in the present moment, which is a really challenging task for most of young players.
When you talk about being in the present moment, this goes beyond chess, right? This goes like you're talking more about psychology, to some extent also sort of mindset and so on.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's why I even recommend my students to do meditation. So, and yeah, I just recalled now that I came to know about Vipasana meditation, which is very famous in India and Thailand, from Sethuraman.
Wow.
He told me about Vipasana. He went to some 10-day Vipasana.
I've also been there. Have you done it?
Yes, I did it.
Oh, you also did.
I did it with my wife. 2018 or 17 in Thailand for 10 days. It was really great experience. Yeah. It is very extreme, of course. It's very hard, but definitely I would recommend to all chess players to do some meditation. It's very, very helpful to calm down, to manage your emotions, and to stay in the present moment. And when you got this state of mind, once you can, I think you can restore that in any critical moment during the game, for example, when you need to recover psychologically very quickly after a very, very bad mistake, which is very challenging for most young players. Yes. And that's a purely psychological thing, is that one mistake never works alone, right? And once one mistake is made, a few more are coming usually. But it is relevant for those who are not able to recover psychologically very quickly.
Right.
So, of course, I can say many more words about Sethuraman. He he was very creative, definitely, and he's still very creative. Of course, he's still a professional player.
Yes.
But
I feel like there is still a lot to his chess. He recently also finished, I think, second in some strong tournament. Maybe he might reach 2700. It's possible.
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping, all the time, and it would be great to see him reaching 2700 finally after so many years. Yeah.
Right.
He deserved that because he was Asian champion at some
Mm.
point, and he was the best performer in that Olympiad where
Yeah.
India scored a bronze, first historical bronze medal.
Wasn't that tournament there was he lost to Nigel Short? No, sorry, he lost
No,
to someone in a completely winning position, maybe Sam Shanklin, and then he
no,
came
he's
back.
in that tournament he stayed unbeaten actually.
Unbeaten.
Yeah,
Okay.
he scored. He won many games, about 2500 plus Grandmasters. He drew some games against 2700 Grandmasters, as I remember, Dominguez and someone else. He played very nice tournament. It was a perfect result for a team player.
Right. And I think you have like some examples from his play. Should we look at them?
Yeah, sure. I think it's nice to see,
Chess wise.
It is really advanced example, I can tell you,
Okay.
because in this situation, White has some development advantage, and there are a few possibilities, to fight for the initiative.
Right.
And actually, there is a way to get a clear, stable age, or even maybe more than age, with a clear positional operation than simply capturing on d5, e takes d, and knight e2, which is very typical for those structures, and knight e2. That's very typical for those structures. White is maintaining the tension in the center, and those potentially hanging pawns are quite an object for attack. Or even after move b6, here we can play immediately move a5, b6, for example. a5 is immediate try to break this structure in order to get a better pawn structure. Black would have isolated queen pawn, and White has some stable h in this position, at least.
Right.
But let's see what happened in the game, and it's quite a typical mistake of young Sethuraman. So let's have a look. He's a very dynamic player.
Okay.
And typical mistake he used to make is going for some wrong dynamic operations. And in this position, he played move a5, which looks interesting, but he's missing opponent's idea, and which is also part of what he has improved later on, and it is called prophylactical thinking, ability to read the game.
So
And
here
actually,
he missed one of his opponent's idea, yes?
Yes, and Black has very strong idea here.
Okay, so maybe people who want to try it can pause the video here and try to think what should Black do in this position.
Yeah, and it is really okay. It's high level, I would say, maybe international master level at least.
Maybe I can try. I haven't seen the answer yet. But the first thought that comes to mind is c takes d4 maybe here, but I don't know.
C takes d, e takes d.
Yeah, c takes d, e takes d, and then if I take d takes c and b takes c, it already feels a bit cramped for Black, that position. Like after c takes, e takes, d takes, and this looks like cramped somehow.
Yeah, I think White has advantage in the center, better pieces, and yeah. Maybe not. It is not extremely difficult. Actually, I would say it is more or less a simple positional operation, as I call it.
Okay.
So Black took on d4.
Right. And takes.
And there is a simple, nice move, is knight b8. Knight goes to c6.
Nice.
Knight belongs to c6,
Wow.
and there are so many
This is very
targets.
nice.
He missed that, I guess. And now black is getting very simple and very easy game, you know? And that's a very advanced skill, which I call strategic vision, ability to read the game. And it requires, in order to improve that, you should learn to consider dynamically in terms of evolution of both sides. Like here, suddenly, it is black who is getting easier game.
Right.
It's much easier to play as black now, because it is black who is maintaining the tension in the center. Black is going to play knight c6, attacking the a5 pawn.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see how the game is developing. Knight e5, bishop d7. And knight c6 is coming now.
Right.
And it's already, you know, it's already white who should make some responsible decisions here, because, no, okay, of course, it's absolutely fine position for white still, but, you know, it's not that easy as it was in the initial position after capturing on d5 followed by knight e2. Here, that's very typical mistake of his. And he's going for extremely responsible dynamic operation, which I call helping chess. It's my term.
What does helping chess mean?
It is when you go for a wrong dynamic operation and you force your opponent to make only good moves. So that sometimes
so you are actually helping your opponent to find the moves which are good for him.
Sometimes you're forcing him to play perfect moves, and the point is that the position is improving for your opponent. So you spend lots of time and energy on clock. Your time is, yes, you have less energy, less time. Your opponent is trying to play only moves, and everything is going in his favor. Position, clock, energy, and it's one of the most terrible mistakes practically we can make in playing the game of chess.
Correct.
And so just black is forced to capture on a5. Okay, so and what? Now white should prove his compensation, and it's becoming more and more difficult. So
Sethu went, I think his idea was knight c5.
Yeah, but okay, there is nothing. Queen b6.
b4.
Another very responsible move, because now the light squares, the pawn structure is collapsing. D takes c. And I think another wrong actually move. Knight c4 was better, but bishop c4 was played.
Right.
After bishop b5, even black is getting everything from statically, I mean.
He's pawn up and also better position.
Better pawn structure, extra pawn, and still quite easy game.
Right.
And let's move a few. Again, pay attention. He's playing attacking moves, but the position is improving for his opponent.
Right. And I think this style of his did scare few of his opponents. Like when I played with him once, I was very scared of him because he was always very aggressive. But I think when a player like Yu Yangi is playing, he would be much more, you know, he was able to deal with it quite well.
Absolutely. I'm always given an example of the first match between Karpov and Kasparov, when Kasparov, who is very aggressive, very dynamic, played his favorite chess, but it did not work against Karpov. And after the game 9, it was already 4-0 in Karpov was leading 4-0, right?
Right.
And only when Kasparov realized that he cannot proceed this way, and he started playing very solidly, making numerous draws. And yes, he changed the course of the match, and even he lost the 5th game at some point.
Right.
Still making those draws, and he he forced Karpov to get nervous and exhausted, and we remember that Kasparov started winning games.
Yes.
And when the score was 5-0,
5-3.
still in Karpov's favor, the match was stopped.
Right.
Because Karpov couldn't play anymore.
Correct. So here, queen c7, queen b3, became knight d5, rook c1.
Actually, b6, and it's already winning for black. Black is missing this chance. But okay, it's very advanced still. Yeah, this position is better for black, but you know, another drawback of this style is that it's very time and energy consuming. When you calculate a lot, so you get in time trouble, you energetically difficult as well, you're getting tired, and finally you make big mistakes, and that's just a blunder already in unpleasant position, probably with very less time on clock.
So here it's black's move, black to play and win, yes?
Yeah, it's already a blunder, actually.
Right, so rook takes, knight takes, and rook b8.
Yeah, and suddenly White's pieces are terribly discoordinated with numerous weaknesses in his camp and something.
So if you just move the queen, then knight c5 and b2 is in trouble.
Yeah, and then queen d2 is coming.
Yeah, queen d2 also. And so he played knight takes d7 here. But then after rook takes b3, check, bishop f8, knight takes b3, queen e4. Now a check coming here, and knight d2.
Yeah, the rest is simple. Yeah, it's time to resign.
Right. That ended his game here, and this was in 2010.
I can say that it is not for the first time we discussed, you know, this issue. We were discussing for years. But the next game is a great example of how C2 learned his lessons, and he played a really great game against Adiban.
Okay, let's have a look at that game. This was in the same year. This was at Indian Championship, and Setu has white pieces.
Yeah, the first moves you can go faster because I just want to show how creative he was. And he played both e4, d4.
Yeah. And he was known for his opening preparation. Very well prepared.
Yes.
d4.
I'm talking in past tense because I'm talking about that period of time. I believe he is still a lot the same, right? In terms of opening preparation and his creativeness.
Ooh, long castle. And
yeah, but the most exciting, the most pleasing for me is this critical moment of the game. Because
so white to play here.
Yeah, white.
So people can pause and think, what would you play here as white?
Yeah, but you know, I would say how to. He found the most, I think, practically strongest way. So if you ask Engine would say, okay, what he played is good, but it's not only way. But practically, what he did is really great.
Okay.
What he did practically is really great, and the whole game in the same spirit, actually. So, like if you ask the question like how black is going to proceed in this position, we can understand that the only way to complete his development is to castle long in order to connect the rooks, because to keep the king in the center, not a good idea. And there was a brilliant idea to simply prevent long castle.
Wow. Oh, now I get it. Wow, what a great thought.
So, and this is what we were learning for years, you know, prophylactical thinking.
And when he played this idea with King B1, you must have been very happy. Not just King B1, but the next move as well here is very important. White to play.
Yeah, the next move is, of course, the key
Right. So here he played this move, rook c1.
Yeah,
And
and
this
now
is a
we
very typical idea in Maroczy structures, but preventing long castle is never the idea, right? Like here,
yeah,
uh, doing this knight d5.
yeah, and everything is collapsing.
So Adiban went g5.
Yeah, and once a long castle is stopped, white can enjoy a nice game. And so, yeah, let's go a little bit faster. Another critical moment is coming. So, yeah, and again, very practical moment. It's possible to sacrifice a piece on d5, but which would be a lot in his style. And he played so many games like that, going into some complications. Some of those games he would win brilliantly, but many of those games he would spoil because he would get in time trouble. He would make some wrong dynamic decisions, and he could even lose the game. There was no consistency. But this game, the style he's playing, this game is very practical and very powerful. Practically, first of all. Let's see how the game is developing.
So bishop f1, and his opponent played knight d7.
So because it's very difficult to make a move as black. Black is playing knight d7, allowing white already very strong idea here.
And so once again, it's an important moment, white to play. What would you do here? Okay, so Setu went h4.
And that's a nice move that creates weaknesses on the king side. And it's so black is rook down, rook a8 is out of play. And so more concrete actions start at this point.
So if he took here, then eventually his king starts to get weak now.
Yeah, and that's very direct attack. Yeah,
Right.
knight f8, f4, and it's very it's crushing position, absolutely.
So he went g4 here.
Yeah,
and takes, rook takes, pawn takes, and now he has an h passer, which is actually quite dangerous.
yeah, and still black is unable to complete
castle.
his development.
Yeah,
That's a
knight
major
d5
point.
is still a threat if you long castle. So he went knight e5, h6, bishop f6, bishop e2, king e7, queen f4, rook h8, rook h1, queen c8, h7, and now he played queen f8.
Yeah, so and that's a nice move actually. Also, it's a nice diagram for everyone to practice.
So white to play and try to finish off the game.
Or to make progress at least. Yeah.
Make progress.
So and
my feeling is gut instinct just to weaken the position is to go c5 somehow, but
and that's absolutely correct.
oh, that's right. Okay,
It's time to break on the weak dark squares
fantastic.
in this position.
c5,
So,
he found it.
Yeah.
Takes, and Adiban took here, and now came this. Now Setu finishes it off in style. Takes here, queen e5. Bishop is hanging. Bishop goes back. Check. King f6. Maybe king e8 was more stubborn.
Yeah, but completely lost, of course. Queen e5 and just yeah, of course it's a blunder, but probably time trouble.
Right. And here
He just took, yeah.
And h8 queen. Beautiful. Very nice example and lovely move, king b1. A lot to learn from this.
So that's an example of how, I would say it is a turning point of the game. Sometimes you can find such a great idea, and then the game started, developing in your favor because you pose such a difficult problem to your opponent. So black couldn't complete development, and then he collapsed.
So on this subject, I have one question, which is often, prophylactic thinking, and this is really very important. But do you think that sometimes a player has an sort of a style, and then often trying to fine tune it, he loses his main strength? Does that happen, or what do you think as a trainer?
I don't think there is a big danger actually, because of course it's very important to know your strengths as well as your weaknesses, right? And actually it's a task of coach to help students to understand the strengths, because when I ask you whenever I start working with a new student, I always ask a student, like, what do you feel your strengths is? Okay, very, very few can really reply, or even if they reply, they always say something that is not relevant, I guess.
Right.
Many young players, almost every young player says tactics or attack, but when you look at their games, you can see they don't know anything about attack. They cannot attack at all.
Right.
Sometimes they're very shy, and they say attack, which means coaches do not help young students to understand their strengths, and it's very important because you should rely on your strengths. So, and of course, you should work not only on your weaknesses, but you should develop your strengths as well.
Right. Got it.
And I think the next student we are moving to is Vaibhav Suri, and
Yes.
I can say even more about him.
Because
Because I use Vaibhav Suri as an example of a perfect student, and it is really incredible. This young man impressed me so much with his unbelievable discipline, determination, and focus.
Wow.
And it was unbelievable because we started working, as I said, November 2008. We had 3-week face-to-face session in Delhi at his home. And then the first tournament he played, it was national under 13, and he was one of favorites in that tournament. And he played maybe because of lots of expectations, maybe because of psychological pressure, he did not play well, and he lost around 22 rating points, and he shared around 15th place, and it was kind of failure. But then I said, see, it's such a failure is not a tragedy, yes, but it's all only hidden positive. And if you learn your lesson, if you analyze your games in great detail, if you make proper universal conclusions, of course, if we make those proper universal conclusions, that's a great chance for you to improve.
Right.
And he started analyzing his games the way it was his first experience to analyze his games, but he did really his best, and he learned really a lot. And already in half year, when I started working with him, he was like around a 21 plus player, 2100 plus player. And already in half year, he got his first international master node.
Wow.
And, and if you look at him at the age of 12, he was he was a small, fat boy who had some psychological issues, who had physically weak, but really it was impressive how he was following every word I said, every instruction I said. He was following with great passion, with great determination. And he grasped, I think, absolutely everything I taught him,
Wow.
And his progress was so amazing, so smooth, like no one else. No one else. So, if you look at his rating chart, so there were very few downs, It was very smooth up, Right. So already in 3.5 years, he became Grandmaster. And it was fantastic progress.
That
And,
is him. I can just show the picture to all. Now
Yeah,
he
yeah.
looks
Now
like
you can
this.
see, so slim, physically strong boy.
Right.
And you know, I remember every evening after our 8 hours of working on chess, we would go to a park, and I would run, and he would do the same. For 20 minutes, he was struggling so much, but he would never give up.
Wow.
He would never give up. You know, he was really fighting so great.
Mm.
And I think he has improved psychologically as well. So that was amazing progress, actually. And I would like to show actually one lesson, one of his games, which was, I think, which had a great impact on his understanding, on his game in general.
Right. Let's have a look at that game. And also, my personal feeling, I also played with him, I think, during that period only when you were teaching him.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was a nice rook endgame where you survived in a
yes.
lost position.
But yeah, he played the opening so well. I tried to attack, and of course, he was just 1900, but I realized that.
Maybe, man, no, it was before I started working with
Yeah,
him.
maybe it was before, but he was very good, and I think he as you said, he improved very quickly. And even recently, whenever I read whatever he writes, he feels like a very intelligent young boy, young man now.
Very structured, systematic. That's he has so many great qualities that required to be successful. But let's have a look at this game. And actually, so our spectators cannot see the whole game and how the game analyzed, because this is what I wanted to show. But you know,
I can show
uh,
it. I can show it.
okay, you can show, because
Sorry.
this game was analyzed by him only. I didn't change anything.
Uh-huh.
The game analyzed by 13-year-old boy.
Okay, let me see if I can
And
pull.
what is my method is, all my students are analyzing their games without engine
Okay.
on their own, and it's forbidden to use engine, actually.
Wow.
It's forbidden to use engine. Most of our strong-minded students are following. It is not an easy task. It's very big temptation to check with engine, of course. But Vaibhav was following, I'm sure. And then he analyzed this game on his own.
Hmm.
And so also he made very instructive universal conclusions at the end. But let's have a look at the game first.
Okay.
And so let's reach one moment around move 25 or something. No, let's go faster, because I want to show you one position where what was the most critical.
So when you talk about analyzing on your own, how much time would a game like this take? If you're doing it on your own, it might take 3, 4, maybe even more hours to do it.
Yeah, finally 3-4 hours, I think, optimal time a student should spend for such a game. But I did it myself, and I know how important it is for young students' development,
Right.
and how much I learned myself analyzing my games, how many practical and psychological things I've learned that any engine would show.
Right.
So engine can show you perfect move, but he would never explain why this move is practically or psychologically correct. Yeah, best. Let's move a little bit further.
Okay. Knight f5. He gave
So
up his bishop here.
yeah. No, okay, it's not very important. So just next, a little bit further. Yeah, a little bit further. Yeah. I think this is a position. And as every young player is focusing on their own ideas, and in this position, actually, as Vaibhav nicely explained, analyzing his game, it's actually very important to notice that it's very difficult for both players to make progress. And in such positions, it's very important to use prophylactical thinking. But okay, at that point, Vaibhav was not this skill was not developed, and Vaibhav is playing move rook c8, trying to improve his rook and making very serious positional mistake because it gives white an easy game, e4. E4 is coming
E4 and
directly.
D5, maybe.
And now white gets lots of ideas like e5, d5, and he's getting some initiative on the light squares. We can see opposite colored bishop middle game on the board. A6 is another mistake, and after which Vaibhav is collapsing very quickly. Collapsing very quickly, d5, and so the game is practically lost here.
It's like from a very normal position within 3-4 moves, it's all over.
Collapse. Complete collapse.
Oof.
So I was accompanying him for this tournament, and after the game, we went for a walk. We had long discussion about this typical situation. About if you go back to that critical moment where he played rook c8.
Yeah.
Like here, okay, move back. Oh yeah, this is the position, and the very instructive conclusions he made. Of course, yes, first we discussed, but then he analyzed this game on his own and he made those conclusions himself. And so he said that in such positions where it's difficult to make progress for both sides, it's very important to ask yourself, okay, what is your opponent's idea or threat? And very important conclusion, he said that, quiet and waiting moves have right to exist. It is my system, Nemtsovich. Yeah. So this is what I taught him, and actually the rooks are perfectly placed. And if we apply my system ideas as mysterious rooks, the placement of rooks to prevent, not to attack, but to prevent.
Right. To prevent
and,
E4.
So
because
to prevent e4 and to prevent e5 as well.
Right.
To prevent any kind of ideas of white in the center. And actually position is slightly more pleasant for black, I guess, because black has more prospects. Black can play a6, h5, improving the position slowly. Black's king is safer. And I think black's position is slightly better, or at least more pleasant. And, after this game, he learned his lesson. And the next game, which I want to show you, is really brilliant from this point of view, how he learned his lessons. That's a game against Walid Babu.
Yeah, I'll pick up that game. But just towards the end of this game, he has written his learnings here, and he has mentioned in capital writing here, do not help your opponent,
That's and that's, this is the greatest pleasure for me as a chess coach, when my students not only play good moves, that they use my terms, my language, to annotating their games or talking about chess. And that's, I would say, the highest level of a student. So when he is able to grasp your terms, your concepts, and everything you are teaching.
Amazing. Okay, so next game is with Lalit, another very strong Indian grandmaster.
As white. Yeah, for this game you can remove text. I guess it's not so important.
You mean, okay, so then I can do it here.
Because so you can do it like this.
Okay, so it was the Karokan, which Lalit was well known to play. He is a Karokan expert.
Yeah.
H5, all opening theory, E6, bishop D2, knight F6, bishop E7, queen E2, C5.
Yeah, the critical moment is coming later. So rook E1, knight F5. This is, if I'm not mistaken, it was our preparation still. And and I think
this is the first critical moment. White to play. What would you do?
Okay, the game is quite long, and let's maybe go a little bit faster, because I think this was still our home preparation. Very interesting piece sacrifice. I think he was in a situation to win this game, to fight for for IM or title, okay, or GM norm. I don't remember which year it was. It was
2010.
Okay, he was fighting for a GM norm already, and I think he achieved his first or second GM norm in this tournament by beating Walid Babu in this game also. And okay, let's move a little bit further. I think, yeah, okay, wait, this is King B1 is amazing, you know.
Sorry.
And, you know, it looks like attacking position. You should play very energetically, very dynamically. But the way he's playing this game is amazing, especially for a young boy who is still how old?
This is 2010.
13 year old, 13-year-old boy. And he's playing, you know, he's playing in order not to win the game by force, but he's playing in order to pose more problems to his opponent. He's playing practically very strong, and he's posing lots of practical problems, and he's forcing his opponent to make very difficult decisions. And as we will see, King B1 is like purely prophylactical move, and Black has to think. Let's see.
Now he goes 96.
Okay, I think it's fine. Yeah. Queen C5. The next move is not perfect. I think Queen D2 was very strong, but it's very, very advanced. So
because he had to prevent Queen G5.
Yeah, and so he sacrificed the piece, and he's playing it very positionally.
Yeah, he's
just maintaining tension.
Slowly pushing his pawns here.
The game is not perfect from engine point of view. It's very important to understand. But what I value the most is a practical point.
Right.
Chess, it is not a maths problem. It's a game. We should pose problems to our opponent.
Right.
And not always, not always are practically the best move is not compulsory, is the best objectively.
Right. And in this position, he again made a very quiet move, King A1.
Yeah, and very important, you know, sometimes playing such type of moves, you force your opponent to think, and time. Your opponent gets in time trouble, and this is what happened in this game, actually.
Is this the next critical moment now? B6?
Yeah, and of course, at some point, no, you must calculate lines. You should try to play aggressively. It is a must in such type of positions. And here, Vaibhav is going for a very strong, finally, dynamic operation to make use of his pieces and opponent's exposed king.
G5. And his opponent played knight h5 because if you take here, the e5 rook is hanging. But he found g6. Wow. The knight is hanging. Lalit took here. Rook h5. Amazing. Very powerful.
It is still unclear position, maybe dynamically balanced, but you know, the thing is that Walid had already maybe 1-2 minutes on clock at this point, while Vaibhav had around 15 minutes. So there was a huge advantage on clock. And when Black's king is more exposed, and it's very difficult to play this type of positions with our exposed king when you play against the queen. It's easier to play with the queen.
Right. And he played c4, and I think his next move is something you would be proud of, yes?
Yes, the same. Quiet move in opponent's time trouble, which is the most unpleasant.
Wow.
And also, Alit is actually a bit tricky guy. For him, it's difficult, you know, when there is no threat.
C3, and I think this just led to the loss of a pawn. Now he went on to
now it's already getting worse and worse with every move, and it's already probably lost. Yeah, it's very hard to play against the queen and knight. Queen and knight is perfect combination of pieces, especially when playing in attack.
Right.
So of course, if you look at this game from engine point of view, you will find there were many mistakes from both sides. But practically, you know, and from those learned lessons point of view, it was a great game for 13-year-old boy who so greatly maintained the tension. And if you remember, one of the conclusions he made is that quiet and waiting moves have right to exist.
Right.
You can maintain the tension. You can force your opponent to make a difficult decision, and it worked perfectly in this game.
Amazing, amazing. That's so nice to see. And you learn something from analyzing your game, then you kind of integrate it into your thinking. Maybe you would give some positions or something to solve, right, on that subject.
Absolutely. I have huge collection of those materials for absolutely every topic, like hundreds and hundreds positions. So for some thousands positions, I would.
Do you use those? Mark Dvoretsky, who was a famous trainer, used to use these cards, index
Yeah,
cards.
when I was a professional player, I used to create those positional pictures, as he says, myself. And I have a notebook where I would draw those diagrams with a pencil.
Oh.
It was very important, but it is not required
Now
nowadays.
you have a database. You can use ChessBase. But who was your inspiration for teaching? Like when you got into training, was there someone who you were inspired from to become a good trainer?
Okay, a few words I can say. Definitely, my coach, I started working with him at the age of 17, was quite very known in Ukraine coach who prepared around 10 grandmasters, so maybe even
Wow.
a little bit more.
What was his name?
You don't know probably him. It's Alexander Weissman.
Hmm.
So he prepared many strong grandmasters, such as okay, Alterman, Neverov, Brodsky, all are
Wow.
from my home place of Sievich. Even he used to work with Malachov, Yakovenko when they were young.
Wow.
So some strong grandmasters, and definitely I had some idea about chess coaching.
Right.
So so it was not just I was not new to coaching,
Right.
and when I started doing coaching, I had some clear idea how my coach used to work with me, how I was learning myself. So because I believe I developed many things. What I teach my students, I developed myself, training as a player.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
I developed some methods of training process, and that's what I'm teaching my students for all those years.
So when you
But
were at your peak of playing strength, what was your rating?
peak, okay, I would say 2003. I think I touched almost 2600, so I was very close. My current rating was 2598, I guess.
Okay.
But then I lost a few games. It was a European Championship in Turkey. I was very close, and so my rating went down.
Got it.
And
And you were born in which city of Ukraine? And are you still there or
yeah, it's called Kharkiv.
Kharkiv? Okay. And right now,
So
where do you live?
uh, okay, after the war started, we had to leave our home place. It was not possible to stay there because of numerous
Right.
bombardments and so on. Our home place was attacked severely, and still it is going on for 1.5 years. We are staying in the west of Ukraine now.
Okay.
For the last more than 1 year, 1.5 almost already. So just want to finish a Vaibhav Suri story. I
Yes,
want to
please.
say that,
I wanted to know a few things. Sorry for breaking that. Yeah, let's get back to Vaibhav.
so for 4 years, since 2009, 2012, he analyzed, I just checked today, he analyzed in great detail 220 games. It's
Wow.
almost not every game of his he played, but definitely the most important games he analyzed without engine, making proper universal conclusions. And that definitely was the most important thing, you know, to make him such, or to give him so great smooth progress.
Right.
Actually, I can say that the same thing was done by my next generation students. Some of them worked the same way, and
I'm
going
interested to know who they are.
Second generation of students was 2014, 2016, so those years. And another grandmaster I prepared is very known nowadays, SL Narayanan, who is representing India's Olympic team in some tournaments and some Olympiads. And I think this guy is absolutely unique as well. And I think he was at that time already the most balanced, the most harmonical, you know, in terms of style, I mean. Because if we look at Negi, it was bright tactician, absolutely. If you look at Sethuraman, I think he was more balanced, but still he was more to tactics rather than strategy. Vaibhav Suri was very positional, and SL Narayanan was very balanced. Already at that age, at the age of 14, when I started working with him, he was already quite balanced. And I think we were working more on his dynamic feeling, and he has improved a lot. That, and the next game I want to show you, it was an amazing game against very strong grandmaster Sergei Movsisyan, and this game illustrates his style very nicely. Just let's have a look at this game.
By the way, SL Narayanan is, still going from strength to strength. Yesterday, he played with Gukesh at the World Cup.
Saw.
Very nice, interesting match. Of course, he lost, but I think he had a great advantage in game one. So, very strong. So here he's white against Movsisyan. Very strong. In fact, Movsisyan at some point had a rating of almost 2750. So,
yeah, he was very, very cunning, very unpleasant player, you know, to play with. And I was so happy to see this game.
Okay, B4 takes.
Okay, of course, when it is about okay, I call him Nanu as
Nanu.
his homework. His nickname, yeah, he's called like this in his family, Nanu.
Okay.
So, and Nanu is first of all, okay, of course, very literate, and all his play on very sound positional ground, definitely. And in this game also, he is playing very energetically, fighting for the center and quick development of the pieces. Okay, very classical approach to the game.
So here he played a nice move.
Yeah, that's a nice move, actually, yeah.
So white to play, guys. Try to think a strong prophylactic move here. What would you play here as well?
Yeah, but first you should ask yourself, what would black play with the next move, right? So ask yourself, what are black's ideas here? How black is going to proceed in this position?
Right.
Two moves are coming in my mind immediately as black, or maybe even three, but one of them I like less.
G6, perhaps.
G6. No, maybe some more concrete players would consider knight e5, probably. Maybe most of. Okay. And there is another move, which is also kind of developing one.
Which is
then
to play a5,
one of black's worst pieces is rook a8, which is not playing well, and a5 is very typical idea to include the rook in the game.
Right.
The move was played as very nice prophylactic move is knight 4 to b3. So it's like in Karpov spirit, right? We move back in order to consolidate and then moving forward.
Right. And,
so, and let's see.
B6. Now he pushed, brought his rook in, and bishop b7. And here,
yeah, and that's
he starts his attack. Yes.
Yeah, and then of course everything is ready. All the pieces are properly developed, consolidated, and it's time to act energetically before black consolidated his position.
Right. So white to play here. What did SL do?
So the next move is more or less clear, I guess. E5.
E5.
Yeah, and that's probably, yeah, the next move is the most pleasing.
Okay, so here, White
Yeah.
played a nice move.
So, and it is also about prophylaxis, actually, to big extent. Because again, if it is black to play, what black would play in this position?
Maybe to open up his bishop, yes?
Yeah. C5 is a perfect move to improve the bishop and restrict B3 knight. And White is playing.
Wow. Amazing.
C5, yeah. Nice move to block that bishop.
And now he keeps on attacking here.
Oh yeah, time it's of course, as every universal player, you should be able to do you should be really good in positional play, but you should be able to attack very well as well.
Right. So E6.
And I would say he was probably SL Narayanan was the most universal among my students in early age. And that's actually the goal I set to my students, to become universal players.
Because if you look at this game, he played this positional idea, knight 4 b3, prophylactic, and when the attack began, he started pushing, and I mean, he could calculate everything.
Absolutely. And time to calculate lines, time to play energetically. And now it's going without saying, just crushing. And pay attention how he has so great feel for harmony. And the last move is just perfect. Like look at this picture. It's just
beautiful game.
Fantastic coordination of pieces. Very feel for harmony. Very strong positional ground for his attack, and so that's perfect game.
What a game! What a game!
So, and actually, I would say that his progress also was very quick. The distance from international master to grandmaster title, he covered in 1.5 years, which is one of the best results for my students.
Wow, amazing. And you were training him until what level? He was still what rating?
I think he was about 2600 rating. We were still working. Maybe not that intensively anymore, but I would. Okay, definitely. There was my guidance, especially on some of the most important strategic points. So just because the major thing about coaches or strong coaches about diagnostics, right? So just to help student understand his weaknesses,
right,
and to prioritize a training process. And actually, this is what most of people are not able to, when sometimes, apart from those 10 students, I have 2 or 3 international masters who I help to become grandmasters. I even do not count them as my grandmasters because I did maybe not so much for them. Tej Kumar, Ashwin Jairam, there was something else. So such students were suffering for 5-7 years, sometimes not being able to reach grandmaster title.
Right.
Or not even they had some old, like Tej Kumar had, I think, all the norms, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But
he couldn't cross.
He couldn't cross 2500. And so I did something for him to help. So that, but okay, I just.
Yes, I remember he had once told me that he's my good friend, and he had said, and I think you helped him with openings and so on. So
openings, I guess, not the major thing with dynamic feeling, I guess. So he was very static. He's very peaceful person.
Very positional.
Very nice
yes.
Very positional, but then there was dynamics were suffering actually. So yeah, and we are moving to the next generation of students. Okay, sorry, it was already the second generation of
Right,
students has
right.
started with SL
SL
Narayanan.
Narayanan.
The next was Ankit Rajpara. I can say a few words about him.
Yeah,
He's a very nice guy, very reliable, but incredibly communicative. He is that sense of humor is excellent. It was so great time, so great memories about our individual camps.
right.
When I came to Gujarat and we had some individual camps with Ankit, it was really nice.
Amazing.
He's very strong positional player,
Yes.
very pragmatic. And I think he is actually one of my school coaches as well.
Wow. And also I believe he's now a trainer, right? He's training a lot. He's trying to develop his own platform and stuff. So I think what he maybe learned many things from you, he's now also imparting it to other students.
Yeah, I hope so.
Fantastic.
Because we have some discussions about those students of my school students he's working with.
Right.
So but as I said, very literate, and his nature I think suits coaching very well. So very structured, very disciplined, very determined, and very nice communication as well. He's able to explain very nicely. I think that's a very good coach.
Right. Do you value a lot discipline as a quality in your students?
Absolutely. I think this is the first quality I try to inculcate in my students. And so I believe that those strong qualities like discipline, concentration, hard work, fighting spirit, and strong mentality are those qualities that finally make champions and successful people.
Got it.
So, and every student of mine is writing chess diary so that to discipline themselves
Amazing.
and so it's very systematic approach.
I of course I have never trained with you. I've heard only from students of yours about your training. But even for this interview, the way you prepared and the structured and systematic way, you can already sense that you like things to be very prepared and systematic.
Yeah, so absolutely, Serge. I think there should be some system, some clear plan to follow,
Correct.
to have clear idea how to achieve the goal.
Right. Right. Okay, moving on. After Ankit, we are we still in the second generation or?
Second generation is the final the last student of the second generation
Okay.
is Shardul Gagare
Aha.
from Maharashtra,
Yes.
so from your state, and
Yes. I
so
knew him since he was a very little young boy, and
again talented student who is extremely strong blitz player.
yes.
His intuition is amazing, but probably unfortunately he did not rely on his great intuition so often in classical games, and that's why if you look at his blitz games and classical, I believe that his classical tournament games potential was not fully realized for sure.
Right.
Well, he could win very strong blitz tournaments with fantastic score from time to time.
Yes.
But when it comes to classical control game, he started hesitating, taking more time than required, getting into time troubles. But still, amazing player, of course, and it was great times we spent together at his home.
Wow.
And I knew very well his father, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. It was amazing. Dr. Gagare is a wonderful man with a so great sense of humor. We were laughing so much.
Yeah, and his sister also plays chess. She became a WIM, Shalmali. So nice chess family. I remember when Shardul was very young, he knew the entire endgame manual, Dvoritsky's endgame manual, each and every position. So I would ask something and he knew it like I was so impressed.
Yeah. So also a very, very determined student. And his progress was also quite well. I started working with him when he was already international master, and I think it took about 2 years to make him grandmaster or something like that.
Right.
So, and the next student, it was the third generation, as I say, it was already 2017.
Okay.
So the generation of Arjun Kalyan, and I came to Chennai for,
For the camps.
for to conduct a camp for Kasi Sor.
Yes, AL Kasi.
Kasi, yes, for his school. And this is how I came to know Arjun, and he was looking for a coach to help Arjun to reach international master level.
Right.
And it also, very systematic, very dedicated, very good intuition, very nice people, very reliable man, and his progress was also very nice. Maybe because this generation was moving a little bit slower compared to the previous ones because of Corona period. Because of course everyone lost this drive during Corona time.
Yes.
And so we organized lots of online tournaments on chess for my school students during Corona time, and it was very helpful. And we had actually from 2017 to 2019, we had 4 very nice camps in India.
Okay.
For this new generation of students like Arjun Kalyan, Aditya Mittal, Moksh Doshi. Yeah, this is exactly 2017. You can see it's still 10-year-old Aditya Mittal and this small
I mean, this
boy.
picture has so many talents, right? There is Aditya, there's Arjun Kalyan, there is Manish, Anto Cristiano, Amish, Arav. Yes. So a lot of title players now, they've all become IMs and GMs, many of them.
Yeah. It was the second camp we had. The first camp in Mumbai, this first camp in Mumbai, but then our camp started in April 2017. It was Delhi. It was in Delhi, and then we had another 3 camps in Mumbai. Right. It was perfect. It was perfect. So great memories. It was so systematic and dedicated work. Like face-to-face communications with student is absolutely so valuable. And so and then so after Arjun, it was actually very interesting that the only student I've never seen in my life face-to-face is the next student who became grandmaster and under my guidance is Raja Rithvik from Hyderabad. I've never met him in life. It is purely online product, as I say. Wow. And his progress was really very amazing as well. When I started working with him, he was 2350. And just in 2 years, he became international master and grandmaster. So,
and in this picture, you can see him at the top left. He's there.
Yeah.
And Arjun Kalyan in the center, and there is Sri Shwan, and also behind you is Rahil Malik. So very, very strong batch here, and Aditya Samant, who is India's latest GM, is also there.
Yeah. So we had and then 2019 when before Corona started, we moved to online camps, online IM GM camps. Okay, we had another 4 camps, 2019, 2021.
Okay.
So before they, and yeah, many of them became grandmasters like Arjun Kalyan and Raja Rithvik. Many of them became international masters like Srishwan, Moksh Doshi. And this is actually the time where I unfortunately stopped traveling to India. Like before, I would travel twice a year for 1.5 months Unfortunately, because of Corona, I had to stop that, and everything moved to online. And that's actually the time when I felt that it's time to start my online school.
That's when you started.
Yeah, then I started, I guess, end of 2019.
So this is your online school, chess school of Alexander Goloshchapov.
So yes, it exists already for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
I will say a few words about school definitely a little bit later. So let's finish with my students. Raja Rithvik is a very, very, very nice, very correct guy. The whole family is amazing. Again, I was communicated with his mom. Very nice people.
Right.
And very nice positional player.
Yeah, I love his positional style.
I think I helped him to improve his dynamic understanding, dynamic feeling to some extent, definitely. That's why his progress was very quick and smooth. The next student is Aditya Mittal, is the one with whom I worked probably the most, or almost the most, one of the longest collaborations actually for 6 years.
Wow.
And I think another student who learned so much from me. And actually also, Aditya is, as well as Vaibhav Suri, despite have a completely different nature, I would say. To some extent, like in some points, is opposite nature, I would say. Okay. If Vaibhav is very quite cautious, very pragmatic, very positional, Aditya is complete opposite, I would say. It is unbelievable creative power, absolutely fearless fighter. And so, of course, such great, bright qualities have drawbacks as when you are young, yeah. So so we spend lots of years, to improve his chess culture, understanding of those general principles like development, coordination of pieces, because he would, since a very early age, he would go for attack without proper preparation. And yes, he lost many games because of that, but I think those lessons were very valuable for him. So he improved his chess culture a lot. His foundation has improved drastically, and I can say I'm very happy to see that nowadays, and for last a few years, he learned to play normal, quiet positional games, which is extremely important to become a universal player. You cannot become a great player only attacking and only showing aggression all the time. You should be universal. You should be able to play quiet moves. You should be able to maintain tension. You should be able to outplay your opponent in quiet and boring positions. So, and I think that's what he has improved a lot, as well as his dynamic feeling. And I would like to show a few games of his. That's one of the most brilliant games he has ever played. It has a lot about opening preparation as well, which is his strong point as well. Like any creative player, he's very, he's very fond of working on opening, right?
Would you say he's kind of similar to Dubov or something like this?
I think he has this potential, definitely, yeah.
Castles, bishop e7, rook d1. So this is all well-known theory? That's
all well-known. Maybe not the main line, but maybe one of second or third line. And he's coming up with some of his ideas. Yeah, and that's no, I think a little bit later. Yeah, and that's a brilliant position, by the way. Maybe it's still the fruit of home preparation. Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. So maybe. White to play and find a very nice move.
I'm not going to reveal all secrets.
Okay. Okay. So what did Aditya play here, which led to I don't know. I can see the move here, but I don't know the logic behind it very clearly. So maybe you can help us.
So in this position, we can see that white has better placement and some dynamic advantage, short-term advantage, right? Because okay, knight on a both knights are on the edge of the board. Queen on b8 is very awkwardly placed. Rook a8 is out of play. But there are not so many weaknesses at the moment. So if you play g4, I think, or then bishop d5 followed by knight f6, and black is fine. So I think, or yeah, something like that. Black is fine. So we need to bring more energy in this position. So still, we can see that the c5 pawn is playing very important role to cover the important d4 square. Our pieces, white pieces, are quite still a little bit restricted. Another great point is that with the next move, white is able to bring more energy in the position and activate his worst piece. No, at least let's see the move. So those are okay. Maybe you spend some time to find this great move, and let's see what is this move. Capture, and now knight g5. So why inclusion of move b4 is important, we will see very soon.
Bishop.
It's very hard position, you know, to play practically as black. Yeah, actually black's position is still okay from engine point of view. No, bishop g7 is already a mistake, but it's very natural move. And this is the point behind move b4. The c1 rook is doing amazingly well on open file, and also knight c7 or rook c7 ideas are there. Yeah, and that's actually a nice position for everyone to practice. It's not extremely difficult. Yeah, it requires some calculation.
White to play, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the move here is knight f7.
So of course it's so natural. It's time to act energetically. It's time to involve opponent's king into play. We have much better pieces. And the next move is also brilliant. Actually, the main point behind knight f7 is the next move, which is the most difficult part of this attack.
So white to play. Why did Aditya sacrifice a piece? What is the move here? Wow. I mean, this game, somehow I missed it. I have not seen. I mean, I've been following Aditya's career, but this is an amazing game that he's played.
Yeah, and the next move is a great one.
G4.
It's not easy to understand why, but in those complications, we will see how this move is important.
Okay, so knight f6.
Knight f6.
Check. Back. And now he chopped this off. Rook takes. And if knight takes, there is knight f6, bishop f6, bishop h6, bishop g7, takes, check, king here, and now.
And nice move to finish the game. Wow. Rook on the 7th rank, and it's very often leads to mating attacks, and this is the case.
So he played queen b7. She played queen b7. Aditya took here, and now queen e7. And I think once again,
and that's another great moment. Yeah, that's
white to play. What did Aditya do here?
But it is really advanced. So if you practice with those positions, I recommend you to use chessboard pieces, clock, and work with those positions with great concentration. It's like you should properly concentrate. And as I say, you should create tournament game atmosphere in your training process.
Right.
So you should do it with great concentration, because it is really advanced positions.
This is so you do recommend that when you're solving positions seriously, you can use a chess set and kind of create that tournament atmosphere.
Almost all the time, unless it is really simple tactics when you would simply warm up, you can use it, or you can solve those positions without board.
Right.
But otherwise, I always recommend to use chessboard for a better concentration.
And here G5. What a move. Amazing.
Yeah, maybe not so easy to understand why this move was played, but very soon we will see that.
Takes. Check. King here. Check. Oh, he opened the H file.
Yeah.
Smart. Check. Bishop h6. And this reminds also of that SL Narayanan game with Mosesian. All pieces beautifully dominating.
Yeah. So that's complete domination, full just in the center, and amazing coordination of the pieces. Yeah.
So the move b4, which was played on 21st move to clear the d4 square, did come to use here.
Yeah, but so many pieces, benefited from this move. Rooks, right. A rook, a knight, bishop.
Absolutely.
And that's what I say. Your task is, first of all, to prepare position of ground for your attack. It means you should win the battle for the center. And when you win the battle for the center, you get access to the most important strategic squares. Your pieces are dominating. You have so many opportunities. And this is what we are learning with very young students in my school from the very, very beginning.
Amazing. This was a brilliant game, and also shows Aditya's talent in full light.
Yeah, and the next game is very nice example about how he's able to play really quiet games, and he's able to successfully fight against very good players. And the next one is very known one.
Decent player, yeah, not like okay,
not so bad, not
so bad opponent, Magnus Carlsen, and this was at the Aim Chess Rapid by Play Magnus Group, and it was. So when he played this game, were you working with him or?
Yeah. So he was not even Grandmaster yet at this point. He needed a few rating points for some time. So I think his rating was 2486 at this point.
Right.
He needed around 15 points to complete his Grandmaster title.
Okay, so...
And like if you look at this game, you can see that who is playing this game? Okay, some positional player, right? Okay, like Karpov or
not the guy who played the last game.
I would say that Carson is playing more in Aditya's style, young Aditya Mittal style.
Like Queen G5, Queen G3, trying to attack.
Go for some dubious attacks, moving Queen to some very suspicious position, and
Knight F4.
And I remember I was following this game online, and Carson's face was struggling.
Rook D8, Bishop F8, Rook F8, Rook D1.
Yeah, and I can say that by this point, Aditya outplayed Carson. And of course, when you play against world champion, especially rapid, with very last time on clock, you want to be very safe, and even draw would be kind of a great victory, right?
Right, that's true.
And I think I asked Aditya why he played the next move, because it doesn't look like, it looks like a concession. But he said, okay, I understood that, but I wanted to be very safe, first of all.
So he should have played F6, and he's just better here.
And he's just dominating. Those white pieces are completely doomed, especially the queen.
But he went check, he traded, and then he traded here. And B5. Rook E8. C4.
Yeah, and that's, of course, he is out of risk here, and only black can play for a win. But of course, we understand that even in this position, Carson is still playing for a win.
Yeah, he always plays for a win. And here, Aditya had a very good move, Queen B6. But he played Queen C6.
Yeah. I still feel that Carson is playing for a win, even in this position. Yeah, wait, it's interesting. Wait, Aditya was winning at this point.
Ooh.
Instead of a3. Instead of a3. That was a brilliant move, but of course it's very hard to find for rapid chess. I think that was a brilliant move. And so, yes, it's time to pause the video and try to find the move.
Black to play and win. Okay.
Yeah. And actually, we saw this move already in this game.
Yes.
So twice Aditya missed a great opportunity.
Queen b6 to go into pawn endgame.
And it is again Queen b6. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
And pawn endgame is winning, guys.
He played a3 and
oh, that's draw, yeah, that was already. Still, Carson was trying for a win, obviously, but there was no chance anymore. Wow,
nice game. Also shows his sort of universal style, right?
Yeah, that's already, we can see a new, much more universal Aditya, who played a quiet positional game and was able to hold world champion without chances, actually. So, amazing. Yeah, and I would say, you know, Aditya probably, I can say, is the player. You know, it is first of all, I think the strongest character among my students is the strongest mentality, I would say. Here I can say for sure, because this is a young man who went through so many difficult times in his life because of his health issues. Like there are some fractures, legs, arms, because of some health issues. And, you know, he was always positive. And he would never give up. He was always smiling. He was always thinking about chess, even when he was in his difficult times. And I think, you know, he's also very emotional nature, but also he has improved on that as well, because it was, I think, very big challenge to manage his emotions, to manage his, you know, those painful mistakes in the logical way. And I think he has improved a lot on that. So now we can see that he's much more consistent and much more solid player who can still play great attacking chess. Like it is an answer to your question whether a player with some certain style can lose himself. Right. I don't think so. But of course, he should know his strengths, and he should maintain those. He should rely on those strengths. And if you know that, of course, such, I think, great, bright qualities like creativeness, fighting spirit, I think it is naturally, it is yours forever. Right. The most difficult thing is to change your character. That's why I think you cannot lose that.
Absolutely. Beautiful, you know, sort of description of Aditya. Also, he is the second GM from Mumbai after Praveen Tipse was in 25 years ago. So also very nice. I live in the same city, so it's very nice to get him as a GM.
Yeah, so you know him very well.
Yeah, I know him well. And I think...
But also I can say, you know, despite his very creative nature, as for those players, those qualities like discipline, like following routine, is so difficult. Believe me, for those nature players to follow routine is so difficult. They're so creative. They're so somewhere impulsive. But Aditya has so strong mind that he was following. He was writing his diary on a daily basis. He was trying work. He tried so hard to improve his discipline. So I remember there were times when he couldn't concentrate on one chess activity for more than 30 minutes at the very beginning, because he would feel bored. he would jump to another chess activity.
Right.
But then he improved so much that he could analyze his games for hours without engine.
Wow.
And he learned the way Vaibhav Suri analyzed so many of his games with very instructive conclusions. And I believe that this is made him reaching this level to a very big extent.
Amazing. You know, in 2020, we had a camp here in Chennai with Kramnik and Gelfand they were
Yes.
come, and Aditya was attending it online. And they told that, you know, they were surprised that he was not a GM yet, or, you know, higher level. He was so talented that, you know, they were both impressed by his talent.
But see, I would say they maybe didn't know about the biggest talent of Aditya, which is strong mentality. And I value this the most, you know, I can tell you. Because,
Absolutely.
you know, as one of my friends told me when I was young, there are so many talents, but there are few strong characters.
Nice. Well
So
said.
many talents we know who did not realize their potential.
Correct.
Because of mental weakness. And that's what I teach my students, first of all, is to deal with those emotionally painful situations and how to learn your lessons. Because if you learn your lesson, as I say, you can turn sour lemon into sweet lemonade, and you can become stronger. And this is the idea I've learned when I was younger from the book of world famous Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. So I recommend this book for everyone who has some mental weaknesses, who is not able to manage emotions. It helped me a lot when I was around 17-year-old.
Wow.
I changed my approach to those painful situations. I started seeing hidden positive in every painful situation, and this is what I'm teaching my students.
Wow.
So
a bad tournament has so much to learn if you can sort of take the lessons.
if you're able to analyze your games logically, if you're able to get rid of your negative emotions, if you're able to accept what happened, if you do not regret about what has happened, but you see lots of positive in your mistakes, in your losses, then these such type of mistakes and such looks like bad tournaments would make you only stronger. Because strong champions, yes, every great champion made so many mistakes and lost so many games, but that's why they're champions. They learn their lessons to become stronger. Weak players collapsed and we don't know about them.
Right. Absolutely. So until now, we have covered starting from Parimarjan Negi, Sethuraman, Vaibhav Suri. Then we went to the next generation, right? We went to SL Narayanan, Ankit Rajpara, Shardul Gagare. Then we had Arjun Kalyan, Rithvik Raja, Aditya Mittal. So we are at 9, and now the 10th. The guy who helped me get this interview from you.
Actually, you know, about many of my future students I came to know from your interviews. And I remember watching some, I came across your interview with Aditya Samant when he was around a 12-year-old boy. And he was a nice game against Grandmaster and Roy Lopez that time. And I saw how nice chess culture he has, how good feel for harmony he has. Yes, his answers were very childish that time. So, but then definitely this guy is unique to some extent, and I can tell you that some of his decisions nowadays remind me young Kramnik.
Wow.
So he has this feel for harmony, and he has improved a lot in terms of dynamics. So he's playing very creative games nowadays. Of course, he has still learned a lot to realize his potential. I'm not going to reveal his weaknesses here because he's going to play many more tournaments.
Absolutely.
But what I can say that if you look at the next games that I prepared to show, so he has improved a lot psychologically for the last years, and now he can fight against absolutely everyone. So in the last 1.5 years, I think he beat many 2600 grandmasters.
Yes. He and his playing style is very vibrant. Yes. He's able to attack seamlessly and also play positional chess.
Yeah, he used to be a positional player only, but he has improved in terms of dynamics a lot for the last years.
So this game is against Alexander Predke, who's 2692, very strong player. Castles, Queen C7, Rook F1, D5, takes, knight, bishop takes, knight takes, knight takes. And here Aditya plays a very nice move. I was wondering if we should save the bishop f2 here because it's an important bishop in the Sicilian. But he went
yeah,
King
but
H1.
that's probably Aditya Samant 3 years ago would play bishop f2 probably without thinking much. Yeah. No, okay, we don't know exactly, but there is a big chance, of course. That King H1, very nice. Actually, it's prophylaxis, but it's active prophylaxis because the King G1 was definitely one of white war's pieces, and it's time to remove in order to prevent opponent's counterplay on the dark squares. And again, it's maintaining the tension in Vaibhav Suri spirit. We saw then some moves like King B1, A3, right? Again, maintaining tension, and a grandmaster had to make a very responsible decision. He spent lots of time here, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, black. And surprisingly, he's playing this move. It's a very big surprise because, grandmaster about 2700 rating is playing such a move. This is what I explain my young students and their parents, that what we are working on, such general principles like center development, it is not about beginner. It is not about beginner level. It is very important aspects of chess culture, chess understanding, because even such strong grandmasters make such childish mistakes. So, and I think, okay, we can pause the video in order to give a little bit of time, but it is not so difficult if you have good understanding of chess.
So white to play. What do you do here? I mean,
no, at least maybe you cannot calculate, but at least which move you would try to make work on this position.
Right. So when Aditya played this move, and I'll show it now, people, if you want to pause and think. And the move is knight takes b5. He didn't calculate it till the end. He just sort of felt it.
Definitely intuitive sacrifice. You need to calculate a few lines to make sure that black is unable to complete development quickly. That's a major thing. Otherwise, white is getting great pawn general advance on the queen side, 3 connected passers, supported by the 2 great bishops. And white keeps creating very direct threats.
Yeah, now you want to take the knight, so rook b5 takes b7.
Yeah, finally black is able to complete his development, but this pawn mass is unstoppable.
B4. Because if queen takes b4, there is rook db1 and b7 win.
Yeah, piece is going in.
So h4, b5. Pawns are amazing. b7.
Yeah, nice feeling. Yeah, a little bit of calculation at the end,
Right,
which
right.
is.
And he won here. Wow, very nice game.
A very nice game, yeah, of course. But again, I would like to. This is a nice example that shows that even those strong grandmasters around 2700 need to learn general principles properly. They keep of course they were taught those general principles in childhood, but the problem that the stronger you are, the more you forget about those important general principles. And this is a lot what I'm teaching my students. I remember when I working with grandmasters, even like Lalit Babu or Gopal, Jian Gopal. So those students I took when they were grandmasters, I worked on those general principles, and sometimes just improving foundation of very strong player, you can make progress very quickly.
For sure. Right.
Because some general principles are already forgotten, so they, of course, they understand more or less subconsciously, but their consciousness is missing.
Right.
And it's very useful to revise to master those general principles, even for very strong players. It helps you prioritize your thinking process in very complex positions.
Are there any books that you like in general for this, or is it like you've developed this over the years through?
Definitely. See, I've grown up as a chess player. No, actually, unfortunately, I studied this book in great detail when I became international master only, but it became my most important book for me.
Which one?
For years, definitely My System by
Nice.
Nimsoj.
Got it.
And that's a foundation I use working with my students, studying from Parimarjan Negi. So from all those general principles like development, center, like strategically important squares, like open files, prophylaxis, very big part, the most advanced concepts,
Right.
and many things actually.
Sure. Okay, and we have one last example, yes?
Yeah, we have one last example, which is very little, but still, it's very important part of. It's very important part of for a chess player. And if you flip the board from black side,
Yeah.
we can see that actually, if you look at the position, black is pawn down, and his knights are tied, and his pieces are really passive. And then 3 years ago, or like 4 years ago, Aditya would lose this game without any chance. First of all, psychologically, because he would give up already. And then we kept working a lot on his psychology, his fighting spirit, and of course purely chess defensive and counter-attacking skills. And he managed to survive in this objectively speaking lost position. But so many lost games were saved because of stubborn defense. Yeah, and Carson probably is the brightest example in modern chess. How many lost games he not only saved but even won.
Right.
And in this position, also I think nice position for practice, black to play and try to find the best chance at least to stay in the game and to pose problems for white in the realization part, I would say.
Right.
So, and here Aditya found a very nice defensive and counter-attacking resource, which is h5. What is this move? First of all, actually the move prevents white's threat, which is h4 to h5, because if white is able to fix the h6 pawn, the king would be even more restricted, the h6 weakness would be fixed, and then white has clear progress something like, no, actually it's very difficult to make a move for black. White can play maybe king e2, and that's kind of Zugzwang. Kind of Zugzwang even. But h5 is a great chance to create some counterplay. And after g takes h, for example, there is a great move, king h6. So while black creates counterplay, activating the king, and this position is actually already holdable after bishop e7, but very important not to make a big mistake, because here knight e2 and
mating.
it's losing. It's losing.
It's losing the rook.
After king h7, the position is still holdable here. So because yeah, this endgame should be holdable. Rook d3, and I think it's still holdable. And the game was played g5.
G5 is the most logical move.
Yeah, the g5 is the best move here. But it gives black chance to activate his knight. And the h4 pawn is hanging. So knight e4. Yeah, white is playing good games at the moment.
Ooh.
So yeah, you need to be
nerves of steel.
Yes.
King at 7.
And probably white's position is winning with some accurate moves. But that's a mistake, actually, I think. That's a mistake, and again, black to play and try to find a way to survive, to escape in this position. Because the d6 is a very bad mistake that gives black a chance to survive already here. The game was played
knight
f4. Yeah, and somehow black gets lots of counterplay. And that's a draw.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, that's a draw, yeah. And okay, that was actually a win, I guess, for white, which is not so easy if we come back. But who cares about...
Yeah, something like rook f6.
Who cares about such lines? Yeah. Carson had so many lost positions in his life from engine point of view, right? This is not a maths problem, as I teach my students. It's a game that's a lot about practical and psychological points, and this is the most amazing part of the game. I love and I teach my students.
Amazing. This was such a brilliant conversation we had, and what you showed. I have a couple of questions. One is, what do you think, like from whatever we have spoken, I've realized that there are few things about you which have helped to create so many talents. But what would you say is your main skill as a trainer which has helped to create, talents, not 10 grandmasters in Indian chess?
If you want, if you're asking about purely chess coach skill, which I still feel is not the main point, I guess. The main point is that to become really strong coach, you should have great passion for that, right? You should enjoy working with students and sharing your experience and your knowledge. And it's very important to have such experience and knowledge, right? And so, as I said, I've learned a lot from my great coach, and I've learned a lot from my very structured training process. Lots of methods I developed myself are making kind of research on chess, working on my own. And this is what I'm sharing with my students nowadays. But of course, if you ask about purely chess coach skills, then probably the most important thing the coach should have is ability to to make proper diagnostics of students, to understand a student's nature, first of all, because lots of people just analyze moves, but they do not understand students' nature. I have so many examples when a very shy student who cannot, very hard to make an attacking move, but a coach who plays King Indian as black against d4 and dragon against d4 is teaching those openings. And then you see that and then they say, when you ask those students about their strong points, they say, my strong points is attack. But then you see that this student is hardly able, he's so shy to play, to sacrifice even a pawn. And then, of course, you teach them dynamic play, attack, but you understand that with this nature, okay, you shouldn't play dragon. You should play some classical openings where you can get the game which would be natural for you, right? Some Queen's Gambit declined, or at least semi-Slav, or some more classical openings like that. And that's why I think ability to understand your student, his nature, his strong and weak purely chess points is the most important thing, because if you don't understand that, you would move to a wrong direction. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to prioritize your training process, and you would do something that not the most important.
Right. Absolutely.
Because many coaches work on opening, but we understand that for young players, opening is by far not the most important.
Right. So amazing, Alexander. It was an absolute pleasure knowing your journey with these players. If as on today someone wants to work with you, can they do so?
And that's what I wanted to say, that since end of 2019, I shifted to online coaching.
Okay.
And I created my own school. It has my name, the school of Chess School of Aleksander Goloshchapov. And you can find this on the internet. It's very easy to remember. The name of my site, chess.coach. So you're welcome to visit this site. You will find out a lot about my students, my experience, my methods. And since for the last 3.5 years, I'm sharing my knowledge and experience with young students. And it's a great advantage of working online is that you can gather so many students across the whole world. I work with Indian players from India, definitely the biggest number, from United States, Canada, Great Britain, Europe, and so many Indians from all over the world are joining our school. Of course, we have some other students from different nationalities, but India is the biggest.
That's very
part
nice to know.
And
you contributed the most to Indian chess as well, so it's only natural.
That's why every Indian parent feels that this guy knows a lot about India, about Indian mentality, about and it's very, very important, of course, to understand the Indian mentality, the way you think, you communicate, and so on. And I have developed a great course. I honestly feel that it's really unique course that's very, very systematic. And there are 5 parts of that. It is called the Breakthrough Course for Advanced Players. Very soon we will update our site, and there will be information about the course. Actually, this course is you can find some information in the shop on the website.
Okay.
Information about the first 2 parts of the course. The first part is about dynamic play. We are learning all those general principles, and they're really advanced about tactical motives, which is my term, like tactical weaknesses, which is my favorite concept.
So these ones, yes?
Yes. There are
4, there are 4 things.
No, actually, there are 2 parts of Breakthrough course, and this course can be recommended for players. I'm very careful to talk about strengths of players who can join this course, because in order not to create misunderstanding. For example, Now we just finished the third part of the course, which is devoted to mastering the endgame, and we had like around 2,300, 2,400 students who learned so much from this course. But along with that, there were many 2,000 less than 2,000 players, like 1,700, 1,800 students who learned a lot from that course. And why I'm very careful to answer this question, because I know that in modern chess, when it comes to young players, especially to Indian players, rating is something very, very unclear. Because in India, all those youngsters are terribly underrated.
Correct.
And I know some 1,400 students, some talented students, even 1,400 students are there in our groups, but sometimes they're doing better than 1,900 students in training process, and I feel they have great potential. And those Indian students, once they come abroad for 3 tournaments, they made jump 200, 400 points immediately.
True.
And then I'm very careful to answer this question.
Right.
So I give really very systematic knowledge, which is absolutely required, as we saw for even 27 Grandmasters. We saw that today. Knight of 6 move.
And is it online or is it like recorded already?
No, it is why it is unique, because it is not recorded material. It's live group classes which we conduct on Zoom. All the classes I conduct myself.
Oh, okay.
I have a few groups. It's very unique product. That's why it's not for 1,000 people. So number of students is really limited, and I select everyone very carefully.
Wow.
I would not allow like people who are not ready for this course. I always ask them to wait. So we are working with those students who I feel ready to benefit from this course a lot.
Wow.
So that's why for the first part, like it's mostly 1,500 plus, but I can make even a little exception if I feel it is a very talented player. Sometimes I go through the games and I see, okay, this low-rated player has great potential, and I allow such a young player to attend as well. But so we are moving from a simpler stuff to more advanced. And so it's like dynamic play. The second part is devoted to positional play. And then we are moving to endgame. And then we are moving to typical middle games, like 2 bishops, opposite side castling middle game, opposite covered bishop middle game, and so on.
So in one class, there would be how many students?
In class, in one class, it's normally around 20 students, or sometimes a little bit more, a little bit less. It depends on the group.
Got it.
But all our classes are interactive, so every student raises his hand. Every student has a chance to communicate with me.
Wow.
I keep asking questions. We have lots of discussions about. We are learning to feel the main point in every position.
Amazing.
So, and there is homework as well, and even video on homework solutions. And it is all the material is available on the platform. So, so every student can revise this material even in 1 year.
Oh.
So that's why everyone is welcome to contact us. You can find contacts on the first page.
Yes, I will put the link of your website in the description of this video, so people can go there and check it out. Alexander, this was brilliant.
And the final thing I want to say,
Yes, please.
my big goal, my mission is to create many more Grandmasters. So I believe most of them will be Indians. But I want to do it in group format, so just to increase number of grandmasters, because that's why after these 5 parts of the course, breakthrough course, my idea to create the unique group of it is going to call something like the group of future grandmasters.
Okay.
Where it will be smaller group where I'm going to work with most talented, most dedicated students, leading them to international master and grandmaster titles already in group format.
Brilliant.
So this is my big idea.
I'm sure we will be having within couple of years another interview when you would have created 20-25 GMs. So,
Doesn't happen so quick. It's very big job, yeah. But
well, let's hope it would continue. I had one final question to you. Have you ever been approached by, let's say, a top player in the world, like let's say 27, 50 plus or so, or is that something you don't want to venture into because you've worked with so many, you've made almost players reach 2700?
Do you mean as a coach?
Yes.
No, okay, see, as a coach, I had experience of, but it is not probably coaching experience, but it is more about being a sparring partner.
Yes.
I used to work with very famous Judith Polgar for 3 years.
Wow.
At the beginning of it was from 2001 to 2004. I went to Budapest for many times. So, and I got really great experience, communicated with Judith.
Wow.
So, and then I had a chance also to communicate with such a great player, again, not as a coach, of course, but as a teammate, and a little bit maybe to a sparring partner who is Vasily Ivanchuk.
Wow.
He's my teammate for many years. We played for the same team in German league, in Belgium league. So I know him quite well. We spent sometimes a week at so waiting for another league game and working together. So it's very interesting person.
Everyone loves Chucky, and the world loves him. So yeah.
Yeah,
Great to know.
he's absolutely unique, of course.
Brilliant.
So that's why I have this experience of communication of great players. Also, I have a good experience of being second of Mikhail Gurevich in his preparing for his match against Petr Leka 2007. And it was also a great experience, which very valuable for me as well.
Amazing. Well, through this interview, I think I have known a lot about you, and I'm sure the viewers have as well. Alexander, thank you so much for giving your time, for giving so much knowledge through this, because I think through this video, a lot of people would have understood what it takes to become a grandmaster and also to be such a top trainer like yourself.
Yeah, I'm always happy to share some knowledge and experience with my students and people around. I would be happy to have another interview or something like that to make it to share more value with our spectators.
I had one idea which I think hopefully we can make it work in some time, which is to do a live session with people, like, not this is a recorded one, but to do a live video where people, you ask question and they can answer back, and it would be revolving on some topic of your choice, but that would be great fun to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can make some certain level of material so that some certain group of people would benefit a lot.
Brilliant.
Practicing with my positions, with my materials.
Well, I look forward to it, and thank you so much, Alexander, for today.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.